Hey guys, welcome to the first ever live, I guess you can call it, podcast with the one and only Bryce Kenny. How you doing?
I'm good, man. You might have to say that name again. Some people might not know me.
Yeah, well, Bryce Kenny, he was on the one of the more Monster Jam tours last year. He did a bunch of arena shows in the Monster Mutt machine. He is here tonight to answer some questions that we have, and also to answer some of your questions that you have that you left in the comments below. So the first question I'm sure everyone is wondering is how you got started with Monster Jam.
Yeah, well, first of all, hey, thanks for having me, man. This is going to be a lot of fun. And I'll tell you this, Monster Jam kind of found me, to be honest with you. It was so bizarre. I used to drive a top fuel dragster. So my background, I like to say, is in violent speed. I used to go 300 miles an hour in 4.5 seconds and went all over the country getting to do that, which was always a lot of fun. And it's kind of been in my family for about 60 years. And I actually met some folks through Monster Jam because Monster Jam or Feld Entertainment actually purchased the racing organization that I used to run with and Top Fuel. And so met some of the folks there. And in 2011, we sold our racing operation and started talking to them in 2011. And 4 years later, believe it or not, 4 years later, they called me back and said, "Hey, it's timing is a lot better for us. We want to see if you want to come test a monster truck." And I said, "Wait, are you asking me if I want to go up to Illinois and you're going to throw me in a monster truck and I get to drive it around?" They said, "Yes." I said, "Absolutely. Of course I want to do that." And so it was kind of a whirlwind from there and just kind of took off. So it's been a blast so far.
Yeah, that's awesome. And now more than ever, they're getting drivers from everywhere. One example is Damon Bradshaw. He did a lot of Supercross in the past, and it took him, and he's one of the best driver there is now. So I think
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, and you're going to see a lot more of that, honestly, because it's one of those things. The way that Monster Jam is going, right? I mean, you truly have to be an athlete, right? You can't be this giant guy that doesn't fit in a properly well kind of regulation type of seat anymore. Like you have to be a true athlete with where the sport is going. It's getting too intense. It's getting bigger. It's getting faster. And if you're not a guy that spends a little bit of time in the gym or a girl that spends a little bit of time in the gym, it's going to be hard to be able to be strapped into one of these beasts and actually do well.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. So with that, when you started Monster Jam, even up to now, do you have any favorite moments that occurred? It could have been at a show or when you were training. Any favorite moments?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll tell you one that was actually in the truck. Okay, and it was actually in Raleigh, and I came out there and I had family, I had friends because Raleigh, North Carolina is only about an hour away from me, and the very first night I went out there. I told myself I was gonna let this thing have it. I was gonna let the track have it, let the truck have it. We're gonna have some fun. This thing was either gonna end up on the roof on the very first hit, or this sky wheelie was going to be the best thing ever. And as soon as I hit that 8-pack, which are the two sets of four tires on that pile in the PNC Arena in Raleigh, that thing took off. I stabbed that throttle about as quick and as hard as my foot would do. I saw the bottom of that Jumbotron for what felt like about 30 seconds because I was just soaring through the air. Came back, sat right down on the wheelie bar, and actually I thought I was going backwards. If you find that video on YouTube somewhere, I actually was grabbing reverse for a second because it just stuck there in the dirt. Finally realized I wasn't going backwards, and so I just walked it across the pile, and my family went absolutely nuts. So that was probably my favorite moment because I ended up winning that, and that was against Adam Anderson, Gary Porter, and some of the best out there. So the chance actually swept wheelies, all three wheelie events that weekend. So to do that in front of friends and family was just really special. But I'll say this: the second memory I'll talk about is actually spending time with Cam McQueen and Sean Duhan. I think one of the best things about Monster Jam are getting to know some of the other drivers and being around them and learning from them. But I tell you, we had some of the funniest moments, and actually it was with Sean Duhan. he had done this crazy wheelie, and I was sitting in the truck watching him do this and perform. Got robbed because what happened was one of the fan judges put up a 6, or no, excuse me, he put up a 9, which would have meant Sean won. And all of a sudden, last minute, that fan judge switched it from a 9 to a 6, and Sean ended up coming in 3rd place, and he was hot. I mean, he was mad. And when we got out of the truck for intermission, he was walking through the hallway, and that guy, let's just say I stayed out of his way, and then I kind of made a little bit of a joke with him, like acting like it really wasn't that good of a wheelie, and he kind of started giggling a little bit. But you kind of find little times to poke fun at each other, and we enjoy it too. But you know what? We are out there to win, and so those guys taught me a lot. But we just always had a blast, just even behind the scenes.
Yeah, that sounds great. And now that you bring it up, Monster Jam fan judges are a whole different topic. That'll be a whole podcast in of itself. But so when you talk about these moments, and the moment you brought up was when you were having that amazing sky wheelie. What is it like to drive a monster truck?
It feels like you are riding a bull in Spain that is really pissed off and angry, but then you feel like you're, when you hit one of those jumps and you're soaring through the air, it's like you feel like you're in a little go-kart at times too. It's the most bizarre feeling in the world, because you can tell that everything that you're doing is just you think about a 10,000-pound monster truck. When that thing comes down and lands on one of those tires, just the pure weight and force that's hitting some of this metal. I mean, I almost feel it in the truck. You almost feel like your own bones are kind of rubbing together or something like that when these things go. They're so violent at times, and so the fact that you have kind of a halfway opportunity to control something that's this violent, it's amazing. Because you know what I always told myself driving a top fuel car and going 300 miles an hour in 4.5 seconds. And I was told this very early on. They said, you know what? You have to always respect a race car, or you have to always respect what you're driving. But at the end of the day, always remember that it's just a piece of metal. And like, it was built to be controlled. So as long as you don't let it control you and you control it, that you'll be fine, right? And you'll do what it was designed to do, which was to put on an amazing show and go out there and kick everyone's butts.
Oh yeah, man. So now that we kind of talked about the good parts, what are some of the bad parts? I mean, I know drivers have had injuries in the past. George Balhan broke his thumb back in 2010-ish. All these injuries have occurred. So what are the bad parts of it?
Well, I've never had an injury in a monster truck, and I'll tell you this: I am way safer in the monster trucks than I ever was in anything else I've ever driven. And Monster Jam does a fantastic job at giving us some excellent safety equipment going through that. I will say this: one of the worst things, and oddly enough, one of the worst things about driving a monster truck is how tight you have to be in those seat belts. And maybe people haven't thought about that. You have to put ratchets on the lap belts. Okay, so the two belts that come across your legs or come across kind of your hips, right? We have ratchets that tighten us down because we have to be that tight. And then by the time you pull the shoulder straps down, I'm telling you, you cannot take a full breath. And you have to be that tight. So unfortunately, after freestyle, right, if you've only been able to take half breaths for the last 90 minutes with that kind of adrenaline, it's kind of, by the time you come back, you're pretty winded. You get the truck parked and you're trying to catch your breath. But I haven't had any major injuries or anything like that. But just trying to keep your breath has probably been the hardest thing for me.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So you said that, for the whole 90 seconds, you have to go out there and, perform the best. So you've been able to do that, and great for arena shows. But if you could, I kind of might know the answer to this, but if you could go to one stadium, big stadium, for example, MetLife Stadium, Gillette Stadium, all those, what would be your number one place that you would go to?
Not including Sam Boyd?
No, that is included.
Included, okay. Then I'd have to say Sam Boyd. Now, I'll have to admit something, and this is going to make everyone be like, how did they let this guy get in a Monster Jam truck? I've never been to a stadium event. I wasn't in Vegas last year. I couldn't go. And so it was like, I've never even seen one of these. When I've seen, so for all the people out there that have only seen a stadium show on TV, I'm with you. Okay. So I'm not more special than you. Right. But when I've seen the stuff on Sam Boyd and obviously everything out in Vegas, it's just so special. And I've heard stories about it. And it's not just the fact that it's the World Finals and things like that, but that track is very special. And the way and just the history behind that is really special. And if Sam Boyd wasn't an option, I'd say a close second for some reason is Anaheim, because I just think that is awesome. All those pictures with the outfield and the backdrop with Anaheim Stadium and doing it in a baseball stadium like that, that's just super cool. So hopefully I get to do at least Sam Boyd this year. I mean, if I don't, I'll be honest, I'll be pretty upset.
Yeah, I mean, I've been wanting you for the Young Gun shootout for as long as I've known you. So I'm hoping they get to go to Vegas. I'm coming back to Vegas. The last time I went was 2013. And for those of you, he said that who haven't seen it, it is amazing. You have to go at least 5 times in your lifetime. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I hope to get broken in here this next season and this next year of Vegas, because I'll tell you this. I mean, you're exactly right. It's so special. And this isn't like a sales line. I don't get paid for people like end up going to the World Finals. And like I said, I haven't been there, right? But I'll tell you, I mean, when you think about motorsports events, it's not just the pinnacle for Monster Jam. I've been around racing, and I don't see things that provide this much excitement as even just what I've seen on TV, as much as what happens at the World Final. So I cannot wait. And I'll be honest, every time I stab that throttle this upcoming season, I can assure you every single time I am going to be trying to earn a spot in Young Guns, because it really is that special.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see Mikey Voderns won in 2014 or 15, I believe, and he ended up winning. I'm sorry, 2014 or 2012, one of the years. But anyway, he ended up winning the 2015 freestyle championship. Fan judges and all, but he ended up winning in 2015, which is amazing. And also this year with one of the Amsoil series, how Morgan Kane won. I believe he's the East or the West. I forget which one.
Yeah, West.
But, yeah, he ended up winning the World Racing Championship, which is really special. So if you can get into Young Guns, I'm rooting for you all the way.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, Morgan Kane's my buddy too, so he's going to be helping me. That's for sure. In Young Guns, I'm going to make him go out there and teach me everything he knows. I don't know if he'll teach me anything, or I don't know if he'll let me in on any secrets or not. But it won't be lack of trying on my side. That's for sure.
Yeah, and as we talk about Morgan Kane, he is part of the Team Gravedigger, and he will be part of the 35th anniversary of Gravedigger. Mm-hmm. If you guys watched the live stream from Monster Jam last night, it was about an hour or so, but they really didn't give anything away about Gravedigger 35th anniversary. What I'm predicting is a new body, like they did for 30th anniversary, and then for the encore for the World Finals, I'm guessing they're going to do something with Gravedigger like they did in 2012. So I think it should be a really good year.
Yeah. I agree. I can't wait to see what these guys are going to do, because they've got and think about the guys that are in those digger trucks, right? I mean, and like I'm part of those back office conversations in terms of like maybe not back office, but like in the locker rooms before. I mean, I've met these guys. They are truly the best. Like they don't put someone in a digger truck, and everyone I hope knows that. But like that's something you've got to earn. And every time that you go to a show, you got to remind everybody exactly why they put you in a digger truck. So there's a lot of pressure on those guys too, just to perform at that level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand that. So this is kind of somewhat off-topic question, but what is your biggest goal inside or outside of Monster Jam?
So I would say inside of Monster Jam, specifically driving. I would say it's to win World Finals. It's to for 2017 is to qualify for Young Guns and to win Young Guns, right? In terms of a goal, I definitely want to. I want to eventually win freestyle at the World Finals, and that puts you in that upper echelon, right? I mean, that puts you on the map officially. But that I would say that 2017 qualify for Young Guns, kick everybody's butt, and win Young Guns, and then hopefully get on an FS1 tour, right? Or being able to kind of just work your way up that way.
Yeah.
I'd say outside of driving in Monster Jam, I am passionate about racing in general, and racing in general has to continue to evolve. Okay, so I came out of a sport in professional drag racing that was hurting. When I left in 2011, I didn't think the sport would be around much longer. Now, thankfully, it's getting back to where that sport is growing as well. But everyone is trying to evolve, and everyone's trying to figure out how they can go bigger, better, stronger, faster. And I want to be part of the evolution of Monster Jam, and that includes a lot of things business-wise. That includes continuing to try to push the limits and coming up with new designs and getting fans more involved and getting fans more engaged. And so all the things that don't have to necessarily do with driving a Monster Jam truck, but being able to go out there and make this sport better and take Monster Jam to heights it's never been, right? So that truly is what I want to be a part of. Otherwise, I'll be honest, I wouldn't have joined Monster Jam if that wasn't an opportunity to go and do something like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm passionate about that, and that starts on day one, right? That starts today. That started 6 months ago. So that kind of stuff doesn't stop.
Yeah, and like one of the things you said was, pushing the trucks and the drivers to their limits. For the people who are watching the video right now, I'm actually going to throw in a clip that was of the 2016 season kickoff. In the, I'd say last 20 minutes, there was about a 3-minute segment of how, Tom Meents was doing this new stunt. You guys know Tom Meents has done, the front flip, which was amazing. I was able to see that live, which is great. The double backflip, which is amazing as well. But in the video, he is talking about a new stunt. Now, as you guys know, in 2016, the stunt that he did was jumping over, 5, 6 or so trucks. But in the preview, it showed another mechanical ramp, somewhat similar to the front flip ramp. Now, as you guys are watching this video, many people have predictions. No one really knows except for Team Meents what they're going to do. But I think it's going to be amazing, whatever they're doing. And I was actually talking to Chuck Warner this past year at MetLife back in April. And I was talking to him about the jump and how it works and stuff. And he said that he has to get this certain stunt approved by Feld. So that is one of the reasons why you guys didn't see it in 2016. And he said he couldn't really let me in on any secrets, which I'm not too surprised about. But I think that's definitely something to look forward to in 2017. Maybe that will be approved as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now if we could just talk about, some of the 2017 stuff. Again, the live stream last night, it included many new trucks, including the return of Master of Disaster, Shark, Dump Truck, new Medusa, a new Metal Militia, and Damon was also talking about a new Monster Energy as well. So can I get your thoughts on that?
Yeah, just on all the new designs?
Yeah, on everything that was going on.
I think last night was really cool. I mean, first of all, I've never seen a motorsports organization do a live event like that where they say, "Hey, this is what we're going to be doing in a couple months." I mean, I was blown away that they're continuing to try to figure out, "Hey, how can we get this information into people's hands, right? And people that matter, right? Fans and everyone that wants to be involved." So I was super jacked that they did that, and I watched the entire thing, and I was pumped about it. I think the new designs are great. I'll be honest, shark, my wife has this like crazy massive phobia of sharks. So that probably won't be like the first truck that we purchase as a puff truck for my little 1-year-old. Dump truck, I think that a lot of people were upset that they felt like it might have been a spinoff of Dirt Crew and things like that. Maybe rightfully so. But of course, I don't think that, dump truck's a dump truck, right? I don't think it was purposefully pulled off of anyone else necessarily. But I think the great thing is a truck like that too. There's so many people that come to a Monster Jam show that's their livelihood. That's what they do. right? I mean, the whole reason why they did a Black Ops truck, the whole reason why they're doing, Soldier Fortune and some of these trucks. I mean, it's almost like a shout out to the people that are involved in that, right? And that people, there's a lot of people that construction's their career, right? They've made they support their families that way. So to be represented at a Monster Jam show, that's huge, right? So in that regard, I'm really excited that they're doing stuff like that, continuing to try to find new and improved ways to get more and more fans represented, more and more people excited as well. So I can't wait to see the Monster Energy design. I think that's one of the coolest ideas, coolest trucks, coolest sponsors. I mean, I just think it's one of the best things for Monster Jam. So I hope they come up with something just wildly crazy, so I can buy a cool hat and buy a cool shirt of them or something.
Yeah, for sure. Now, with some more of the 2017 news, as I believe it was BJ Johnson or someone took you into like the behind the scenes of a room for design of merchandise, I believe it was, and it showed the new, I guess you could say, renderings or designs of the 25th anniversary of Monster Jam. As you guys know, 2017 will be the 25th anniversary of Monster Jam, and they showed the new truck designs. So I really, even though that was for a Hot Wheels truck, I really hope that they, bring it to life and make it a real truck, which I think will be amazing.
That would be amazing. They need to do that. I'm with you, man. I think if they do that, that'll be a home run.
Yeah, for sure. And then also some of the big news is that there are now two FS1 tours, one in the east and one in the west areas. I think this is a great opportunity for new up-and-coming drivers, as you see some of the list, and it also provides more entertainment for the fans. And instead of just arena shows, there's more stadium shows now from January to March, which is the World Finals. So I really like this new idea of the two FS1 tours, which also means that there are going to be two spots now for the FS1 champions to get into the World Finals, which I think is just great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And with that, there is now also 3 Amsoil More Monster Jam tours, which is also fantastic as well. Now, probably one of the last things with the 2017 news is, personally, I go to the East Rutherford shows. It's about 2 hours from where I live. It's a great show. And last year, some of you who go may know that the contract with MetLife Stadium actually ended. And a lot of people thought that it was going to be done, but they are returned to MetLife, which is great. I'm really looking forward to that if I do go. It'll probably be in April, like they said, how they're going to continue the FS1 tour after the World Finals, which I think is great. Now, for you, you saw the new arena tracks that they've kind of redesigned as well.
Yep.
So what do you think of it?
I think it's great because I think one of the reasons why it's going to be so effective is it'll let us go bigger. It'll let us go faster, right? And because everything that they're trying to do is take it just one notch higher every single year. But you know why? You know why I really like this track? Because you can't get away with underperforming, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
You can't. A driver's not going to be able to mail it in on an event. Right, if they're having a bad day or something like that, if they go out there and underperform, or they're giving it half throttle, or they're really giving it half the effort, it's going to stand out. And so there's more accountability with a track like that to ensure that every single time a Monster Jam truck hits that floor, that the fans are getting the very best event and the best show. And the best experience that they've ever had. Because my big thing, too, I want people leaving a Monster Jam show to have as many of their 5 senses absolutely assaulted. Okay, and this is what I mean by that. Right?
Assault on
when you
the
think
senses.
about, assault on the senses, that's right. When you think about what you see at a Monster Jam event, it doesn't really always compute. When you think about the smells of a Monster Jam event, it's so unique, right? What you hear is so powerful, it's loud. I mean, bring your earplugs, please. My goodness, but what you feel, right? right? I mean, you can feel these trucks, especially in these arenas and even in the stadiums, of course. But in these arenas, they're so close, you can almost feel the vibrations in your chest, and you can feel them in your seat, right? And what you walk away from, there's almost like an emotional feeling you feel too, following that next week when you're sitting at school and you're like, gosh, man, I wish I could see one of those Monster Jam trucks flying through the air right now. And I guess as far as taste goes, I don't know, you're doing all that while you're enjoying some cotton candy or something. I don't know. But the point is, the more of those senses that you can just experience something with, you remember that longer. And so that's my whole goal personally, is like, the bigger the jumps, the bigger the hits, the more effective the tracks and the builds that they come up with. And these dirt crews are awesome putting this stuff together. But the better that stuff is, it's the chance for us to go out there and assault more senses, right? That's our goal.
Yeah, and when you said there how they're building the tracks, better. If you look back even I guess 5 years ago, it was just a straight line of maybe 5 cars and some dirt. But now over the years, the innovators have started to redesign the arena shows to get the fans the most they want, and then also with the jumps, how almost every angle you can hit and still put on a good show.
Yep, and you know what? These aren't tracks that are being built in some guy's office somewhere that doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay, these tracks, you know who's designing these? Drivers. Okay, that's when you can be assured that they're going to be good, because a driver can look at that and say, "Gosh, what if we did this, this, and this?" And that's what's gone on over the last couple of years. And Tom Mintz is one of the most instrumental individuals in doing that. And there's no one that knows how to go bigger and faster than Tom Mintz.
Yeah, I agree. So with the subjects of tracks, as you guys know, there's also a new stadium track, which I believe is very similar to a combination of last year's and also this past World Finals. I think it's going to be good. It's similar to last year, which means that the drivers will also have somewhat of an advantage, performing on the track. Now, when you get to the stadium, which will be, I hope, very soon, when you get to the stadiums, like UNLV Stadium, which is Sandboy Stadium, there's the backflip jump. So have you ever just really wanted to hit a backflip jump?
Of course, right? I mean, who doesn't? I mean, when you think about backflipping a Monster Jam truck, that's kind of crazy to even fathom. I was watching a video today. I study this stuff. I'm on YouTube. I'm checking this stuff out. And I was noticing how so many drivers do it differently. And you watch the ones that when they smack the throttle, when they let off, some of them, hit the brakes halfway through to stop the tire and stop some of the rotation, kind of slow down some of that rotation. I mean, it's an art form. So yeah, I'm anxious to get out there and try it. So I can fail fast, so I can hopefully land that thing back on its tire. So yeah, I'm pumped about getting to do that.
Oh yeah, and something new that was the idea was kind of around for a couple years now, but as you're talking about how Cam McQueen, he did the first corkscrew, I guess you'd call it, from this year's World Finals, and that just goes to show you how much the drivers are thinking about it, and all the thoughts going through their minds and how they're going to do this trick for the fans.
Yep, and I'll tell you this. That's what I learned the most this past season from Cam McQueen, because even in the arena show, they realized this is, we were up in kind of some obscure locations on the tour that we were on. That's why I was joking at the beginning of the call, which was like, hey, you might want to tell everyone my name again, because a lot of people probably don't even know it. But it's because we were on this kind of obscure tour. Now, we had a blast on that, but I'll tell you this, Cam McQueen, every single show, would go out there and stand on the track, and he would study it, he would plan it, and he would figure out how to come out there that night and put on a great show. And then, so it didn't surprise me at all that he did that and came up with that idea going into World Finals. And I asked him too the next time I saw him. I said, "What's the number one? What's the most annoying question you get following the World Finals from this year?" And he said, "Everyone needs to stop asking me if I meant to do that or not." He said, "Because of course I meant to do that." But it was just funny to hear him say it. But that guy studies this thing, man. There's no one that studies this sport more than Cam McQueen. And for someone with him with that kind of tenure that's done this for that long, I mean, if he's still studying it, honestly, there's no excuse for anyone to not go out there and study it if they're driving a Monster Jam truck.
Yeah, and even going back to 2015, he did the stunt where he tried the first ever reverse backflip, if you would call it. Tyler Duke would eventually attempt it this year as well. But yeah, I mean, that's just amazing how the drivers will take the time that could be mentally preparing, but they're actually going out, thinking of the best plan, looking over the obstacles, and looking what's best for the fans.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to pull up some of your guys' comments that you have sent to me, and I told you I would get them answered by Bryce, and looks like we're going to do that. So a couple of these questions have already been answered, like how'd you get into driving a monster truck? So those questions I'm not going to read just because you already answered them. Zach the Camel Monster Truck from Instagram wants to know, do you want to drive another truck?
So I think I would say yes. In fact, if you go on to the lineups, I think you'll already be able to kind of catch a quick hint that I might be in something different. So I think that I don't really care what the body is on the truck, right? I mean, if it's something that the fans love, I love it. I would love to continue to kind of grow that brand for Monster Jam, and I think something that fits not only my personality, but like I can continue to really, really push and continue to build up. And I think there's a lot of different options for that. And so I'm pretty excited to see what happens this coming season in 2017 and what truck. I don't even know what truck I'm in, to be fair. We've had a lot of conversations. We're trying to figure that out right now, and part of that will depend on what tour I'm on and things like that. But I'm just as anxious to see as everyone else.
Awesome. So the next, these set of questions are from Instagram that you guys commented. The next one is from Hot Wheels Monster Jam Nerd. What type of dog would you use for a new Monster Mutt?
I like that question. So I am really partial to English Bulldogs. Now, I don't know how we would make this into a Monster Jam truck, but let me tell you something. If we could put some kind of a truck body together for a Monster Mutt where there was all these fat rolls and stuff like that and up to this pudgy little face and make it look like an English Bulldog, I feel like that would be the most appropriate Monster Mutt. But I would definitely be partial to an English Bulldog. Now, we couldn't call it an English Bulldog. I don't know what you do have to come out with some kind of crazy nickname for it, but if we could do that, I think that'd be awesome. I've heard someone throw out the idea of a zombie Monster Mutt. I think that would be cool. And kind of connecting those two, but I don't know. English Bulldog it is.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that. I'm sure if you look up on YouTube, it might be Straight Up Racing or another independent team, but they're actually putting together for 2017 an actual Bulldog truck. Now,
cool.
I think you will enjoy it because I've seen the videos. They're sculpting out what the body will look like. There's a whole series, if you would say, on this. It's on YouTube. I'm sure you can look it up. But I believe it is exactly what you're talking about. So it'd be
that would
cool.
Be great. I'd be their biggest fan.
Yeah, for sure. So the next question, this is kind of a long one, and this is also what you kind of said, but Monster WWE fan 2K16 asks, if you had a choice to either stay in Monster Mutt or move to your own Monster Mutt, what would you do? And what is your opinion on the new name for Monster Mutt Zombie Hound?
I love Monster Mutt Zombie Hound. That's awesome. Secondly, if there was any truck I would want to be in, I mean, who doesn't want to be in Gravedigger, right? I mean, who doesn't want to be, I mean, it's the best, right? That's the pinnacle. I'm not going to be in Gravedigger for 2017, but that would be like a ultimate goal. And so I think that if I could have my cake and eat it too, it might be, eventually getting into a digger truck. For 2017, I'm really curious to kind of see how this goes and where this develops. I have no clue at all what this will be, but I'm excited to see how this unfolds.
Awesome. So these next three comments. One of them you've already answered, so I'm going to ask the second part of it. But these three are from YouTube. The first one, Mega Dino's Rule, I'm guessing it's pronounced it, asks, what is the best reason for driving trucks?
Well, the candid answer, the honest answer is because I get to somehow fly in, get strapped into a 10,000-pound Monster Jam truck, stab the throttle on a 2,000 horsepower motor, go flying through the air, land softly on the best suspension and best shocks that the industry's ever made and created, and then turn the thing around and go do it all over again. And when it breaks, I get out, and I am technically really not allowed to even touch the truck. Now, my background comes from if we tore something up on our top fuel car, that ruined our day. So I came up fixing, grinding. I grew up as a crew guy. I grew up doing this stuff on the top fuel car, pulling the clutch out on my own, doing the bottom. I'm a motor guy. I'm a gearhead. And so the fact that I can't do any of the mechanical stuff on these trucks, am not supposed to, is hard. That's a hard learning curve. But let me tell you something. It really is nice to be able to fly in and be able to do that and work with the crew guys, because they work their butts off for this. They earn every dollar those guys get. And so I'm excited to be able to go in and tear stuff up and hopefully not tear it up too bad, and then fly home and go do it all over again the next weekend.
Yeah, that sounds amazing, and you're right, those crew guys are what makes Monster Jam, just because,
right.
They put all the effort into making the trucks and rebuilding them over and over throughout the season, and also to the track guys who have designed these courses, like we've said, and how it's the maximum, fun for the fans and also for the drivers, biggest air, best stunts, all that kind of stuff.
That's right. You're exactly right. No crew, no show.
Yeah, exactly. The next question from Levi Shones is, what is your dream monster truck to drive?
So I would go back to saying Gravedigger, right?
Mm-hmm.
That carries with it such a connotation. You can go to any country in the world, and there's got to be someone in that country that's heard of Gravedigger, right? And especially these 20 countries that Monster Jam's been going to. I think 400 shows in 20 countries in 2016. That's amazing. But you know what? Everyone that goes to those at some point, if they show up to a Monster Jam event, people I've never even heard about, they may have shown up for the first time just to see what this Gravedigger thing they've always heard about really is. So the chance to do that, that's like the ultimate platform for a driver. So the chance to get that, man, that would be a dream come true.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. Gravedigger is basically one of the main reasons why Monster Jam started, because Dennis Anderson, started with the mud trucks, and he eventually graduated to now a 10,000-pound, 1,500 horsepower truck, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yep. So the last question comes in from Gravedigger. Who is your favorite Monster Jam driver?
Ooh, good question. So my buddy is Morgan Kane. All right. I knew Morgan from college. So we go way back. That guy is a stud. He is excellent at what he does. That guy's a perfectionist. And you know what? I think the reason why I am so impressed and I've learned so much from Morgan is because that guy truly is doing all of this for the fans. Like, he's not jaded. He's not, he doesn't have, bad experience. He doesn't have this big ego that he's trying to fill. This guy's going out there and saying, what else can we do for the Monster Jam fans? And I was so excited last year when they announced that he was going to be in a digger truck, because that guy deserves it. And he clearly showed it, right? Back-to-back champions on a championships on a more Monster Jam series. And now this year going to FS1. And, of course, last year winning the racing at the World Finals. That guy is an absolute stud. So he'll always be someone that is someone that I'm extremely loyal to, because he's always been there for me. But you know what? I love learning from that guy in every aspect of this sport. That guy, Morgan Kane, is the real deal.
Yeah, that's something I've just heard for the first time. That sounds amazing. So Now you're talking about Gravedigger. Now my personal favorite is Max D. So would you ever consider driving a Tom Menz truck?
Of course, right? Who would turn down Tom Ince? Hey, let me tell you something. So when I was up at Monster Jam University, one of the coolest things that I did, it wasn't the hitting the 8-pack or the log ride or any of the hits that we have on the arena tracks. It wasn't all that. That was all awesome. That was all cool. But the coolest thing was the last day I was there last year, right? So we were getting ready for 2016, and I looked at Tom and I said, because Tom does the training, and I looked at Tom and I said, "Hey Tom, how hard are these trucks to see out of when you've got a truck body on top? Because when you're up there training, you don't have a truck body on." He said, "That's a good point." And he looked at one of the crew guys. He said, "Hey, go over and get that Max D hood and throw that on the truck." And so they just zip tied it up. But let me tell you something. I went out there and he let me go out on the stadium track and kind of just play around a little bit. Well, let me tell you, one of the coolest things was when that Max D hood came loose and I hit one of those piles, and that hood came flying off the Monster Jam truck, and I felt for a second like Tom Mintz. And I was like, man, is this what it's like? Just add 100,000 people in a stadium somewhere, and this is what it feels like to be Tom Mintz. Destroy a Max D body, let the crowd go nuts, and stand on top of the truck with your arms in the air, giving away helmets, kissing babies, everything that's that guy's just the man. So you got to be kidding me, man. If that were an opportunity, I'd jump all over that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and so now that we're talking about Monster Jam University, I know that you can't give too much away just because, the Feld and stuff, but is there any hints that you can give us to what it's like and behind the scenes?
Oh, absolutely. And actually, if you go on my Facebook page, I actually wrote a kind of a blog post, if you will, on my Facebook page that walks through kind of my experience at Monster Jam University. And so you're right. There's not a ton of pictures and things like that because we're not allowed to put stuff out there, and rightly so. But I'll say this. Everything that I experienced this year on the arena tour, I was able to practice and train last year up in Chicago, up at Monster Jam University. And again, the fact that they have a training facility like that, I mean, they've got their shop, they've got parts, they've got seats, they've got everything that we need. They've got a parts trailer, they've got safety equipment, they've got quads, they've got speedsters, they've got, of course, the trucks, they've got everything that you would need that's right there to be able to do this. And they run those trucks every single week. A company that does that, they're not just playing around, right? That's a company that's saying we want to be the very best, and even if we're number one, even if we are the best, how can we be better? And so they're completely setting the standard for any motorsports. Or I mean, does NASCAR do that? No. Does NHRA do that? No. Right? Does any other does F1 do that? I don't know. Maybe they're rich enough somewhere in Europe to be able to have something like that. But let me tell you something. Feld does that. Monster Jam does that. And again, all of that is for the fans. No, they don't trust me, they don't make any money up at Monster Jam University. They lose a lot of money, right? Because it's all investments, trucks that are breaking, flying drivers up there, all the cost to do that. But all of it is to say, how can we continue to grow this sport? And that's what we're all after.
Yeah, for sure. And so when you go back to your first day at Monster Jam University, I have two questions for you. One of them, what is it? Your first experience inside of a truck? What was it like?
So we went out there. We did figure eights. I know that sounds so lame, but we did figure eights. which the first time in the truck, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've driven machines. I've driven, the top fuel car had 10,000 horsepower. So the truck that had 2,000 horsepower, it wasn't intimidating from a power standpoint. But let me tell you something, getting that high up in the truck and you're strapped in that tight, even a figure eight the first time you do it, and really what the whole point was to kind of get used to the rear steer. Learning how to kick the rear steer, watching and kind of feeling what it does, trying to apply throttle to it, watching that, feeling that back end wash out. Let me tell you something. If I do a figure eight in a top fuel dragster on a drag strip, that's a really bad day. You know what I mean? So so I mean, it's just a different feel. It's all about the application of power. But I remember the first time I did, even just a figure eight and kick the rear steer and stab the throttle a little bit. I was like, holy crap! Like these things can move. Like these things can get it, and these things are built to just be the high performance machines that they are. But I'll be honest with you, the very first time I did a figure eight, the very first time I did anything in that truck, I immediately thought to myself, okay, now I'm super pumped to go hit that jump and see what this thing feels like in the air.
Yeah. And the second question is, what was it like the first time that you broke something on the truck?
So I think it was that same week, my first week out at Monster Jam University, and we were doing donuts. So we were practicing donuts, and so I was the guy that was training us. He had me do one, and then he said, "Okay, that was good. Now just go out there and do it yourself. Not with me over the radio." So I went out there. I got the truck set and got it spinning. Kind of started going into a donut, and it threw a rod out of the block, completely blew the motor. That's a really expensive thing to happen. Now, it wasn't anything that I could have done, but to your point, I went back and they towed me back to the shop, and I'm getting out of the truck, and my day was done. My week was done after that, by the way. And I'm looking at this motor, and I'm just like, again, my background, I mean, that would have been a $70,000 day for us in Top Fuel if we blew a motor like that. And so it was really gut wrenching, because I was like, first of all, not only did this cost money, but secondly, man, there's a lot of guys out here that's going to be, working all night trying to get this motor swapped. And I'm telling you, that's not easy. And then the motor goes back and gets sent to a motor guy that's going to have to replace that and fix that. And most of that they have to junk, but maybe some of it they can salvage. And so there's just such a process, man. The logistics behind this stuff. It's not as simple as saying, "Oh man, I broke the motor," or I tore up the motor. Let's go get another one, guys. Throw one in. It doesn't work that way. So to have that kind of respect for that, I don't know. It's kind of just built into me, because that's all I've ever known in racing.
Yeah. Well, that is certainly awesome stuff that you're talking about with the old growing of Monster Jam University. They introduced some of the, I believe it was 4 or 3 new drivers from the Monster Jam University. Now, again, they won't really show you inside, but from my understanding, you said that there is an arena track and a stadium track. Is that right?
That's right, yep.
And did you get a glimpse of where Tom does his stunts?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, everywhere we train, I mean, that's where Tom, if he's going to train something, that's where he trains.
Mm-hmm. Now, with Tom, have you got a chance to, run with his sons, Colton or Jared, yet?
I have not. Now they're typically up there, and Jared actually is typically working. So he's running a loader or running one of the RIIs for the trucks, or he's running the shop, something like that. I mean, that guy works his butt off. And Colton, I've seen him up there a couple times as well, but I've never run with him. No.
All right. So is that something you would like to do in the future? I'm guessing.
Yeah, absolutely. Jared's a really genuine guy, and I've gotten to know him through going up there, and that guy's the real deal too. I mean, I've not gotten to know Colton as much. I'm sure he's just as good of a guy as well, but those guys are from good stock, and they know what they have their hands on. And Jared actually is one of the guys that helped me the most on wheelies for the arena track, because he just kind of took some ideas out of my head that I was almost treating wheelies like freestyle. And you got to kind of separate the two out, and he kind of gave me a couple tips that really helped.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, from Paxton to all these shows, it just goes to show how much the Monster Jam drivers train and what they put in to make the fans happy, and which I think is really great. Now, we should probably, start to wrap this up. We're at 51 minutes here, but so maybe it's just time for a few questions left, but I have one question for you. Only a very select few will know why I'm asking this question, but last night, before the Monster Jam season preview, how was the Wendy's?
Let me tell you something. dipping Wendy's fries in a chocolate frosty.
I was just gonna ask.
That is, I don't know if that's a Southern thing or just a American thing, but let me tell you something. If you're not happy after dipping Wendy's fries in a chocolate frosty, there's something wrong with you, right? You're dead inside. So it was delicious, and the sweet tea to wash it all down with the spicy chicken sandwich. Oh man, I got to go get me something right now. Actually, I think.
All right. Well, that sounds very good. You're talking about the French fry and the milkshake. Here in PA, we do that as well.
Okay, all right. So we're not special, is what you're telling me. I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. Okay.
All right. Well,
I guess next time I'm in PA, I'm going to have to make sure that that's the case and stop by Wendy's and buy me some fries and a Frosty and test it out. See if your Frosties are as good as our Frosties.
and by the way, down in North Carolina, do you have Ruby Tuesdays?
Yeah, man.
That is the best place to go for what you're talking about.
Okay. Well, for fries and a milkshake?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I've ever. I always get the salad bar to Ruby Tuesdays. There's always seemed like a salad bar, all the food, all the stuff. But okay, I'll trust you. I'll have to do it.
Yeah.
You see what you guys don't have are cookouts. You ever been to a restaurant called Cookout?
No, I don't.
No, it's a fast food chain. So you don't know about that up in PA because PA people don't have cookouts. But let me tell you something. If you ever are in kind of the southeast and you see a cookout and you don't stop, your life will be incomplete. Okay? I'm telling you, they're worth it. And the milkshakes that those guys have and the combinations, it's awesome. So you want to live, go to North Carolina, go buy a cookout, go to a Virginia. They got cookouts, and live a little.
All right. With that note, I think we should probably wrap this thing up. So if the Monster Jam fans that are listening to this, if they want to follow you day to day, where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, go on Instagram, Bryce_Kenny. I'm on Twitter. Go to my Facebook. And actually, I think facebook.com/BryceKennyMJ, like Bryce Kenny Monster Jam. And I probably do less Twitter. I'm going to try to get better with that. But if everyone likes Instagram, everyone likes Facebook, go on there and follow me. And I'm gonna be putting some pretty awesome content going out there here in the next couple months. So looking forward to that, keeping in touch, and message me. I like getting everyone's messages and hearing from stuff and hearing from you guys on what you like, don't like. So let me know.
Awesome. So that goes same for me. If you want to find me on Instagram and Twitter, it's both at Lego101Boy. It's the same as my YouTube channel name. All right. Well, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on, Bryce.
Hey, you're welcome, man. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. We'll do it again.
Yeah, for sure. There you guys have it. You guys have listened to almost an hour of us talking and discussing the current with Monster Jam. If you guys do like this video, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. All right. Well, thank you, Bryce, and I will see you later.
No problem. Thanks, guys.